Hey guys, Dr. Makiba here, coming to talk to you today about a really cool topic that you probably have had an issue with, if not currently, in the past. We're going to talk about unmotivated children. We're going to talk about how to motivate them some kind of way. I did write a blog post about this on my website, so if you want to go and read the full blog, you can go to my website, www.e-es.co, and go to the blog tab, scroll down, and you will find a blog post about how to be a rock star parent. And that is where I talk about this wonderful, wonderful tip that I'm about to give you. So unmotivated kids. Okay, so I know personally I have been unmotivated from time to time. I know when I was working on a couple of my degrees, I definitely did not hold a large sense of motivation or inspiration. But I did get it done. And for a lot of times for those tasks that I needed to do to get done, I had to do something to motivate myself to do that. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. So take a minute and think about yourself. Has there been one single occurrence where you were just completely out of motivation? Think about it. I mean, tapped out. So you didn't want to do it. You knew that you didn't want to do it. You knew that it had to get done, but you didn't want to do it. So what did you do? What did you do to get yourself out of that funk? Did you promise yourself that you could do something when it was over? Did you promise yourself that you would go somewhere? Did you tell yourself that after you did this, this would happen? I know personally when I was working on my degree, my highest degree, there were times when I had to really sit down and tell myself, okay, Makiba, if you would sit down and write these 2 pages of content, then you could take a break and watch a really good movie, or you can take a break and go get yourself some ice cream, or you can take a break and do something. But I would not be able to do what I put in place unless I agreed to myself that I completed those 2 pages of content, and the content had to be valuable, and it had to be something that was my best work. It could not just be something that I just put together and threw out there just so I can get what was on the back end. So whatever it is, I had to make sure that I achieved that goal, right? So if this worked for me, then I figured it also works for my students, and that's kind of where I got it from. So when I was a teacher, I would do this certain thing all the time with my students, and it would produce greatly for me. It would yield such great return. But it's really in how you approach it with your children. So the one thing that I'm talking about, I know everybody's hanging on. They're like, what are you talking about? So the one thing that I'm talking about is called incentivizing. Incentivizing is really cool, but incentivizing is only good if you hold value to the incentive. So the incentive doesn't have to be something large. It doesn't have to be a huge dynamic thing that you put a lot of money into to bribe your kids. It's just something that is small, that you've placed a large enough value on so that your kids can see the value in what they will receive if they do their best job at whatever is ahead of them. Another trick to this is making sure that you communicate it to them in the right way. So you need to use the right language, and you need to use the right verbiage when you do this. I have found that when you lead with what you want them to do versus leading with the incentive, your return is going to be much greater. Why? Because they're going to put a little bit more effort into what needs to be done to get the incentive. Also, the first thing that they hear subconsciously is the first thing that they're going to attach themselves to. So if I lead with, I have such and such and such and such for you if you do this, they're only going to hear, I have such and such and such and such for you. They don't hear the rest of it. But if you lead with what you want them to do, and put enough value on what you want them to do. That's what I mean by putting value on the incentive. If you put value on what you want them to do and make the incentive a reward, then they're going to hear what they need to do first, and they're going to put energy and effort and a great amount of intentional effort towards making that, be a really good job. So I'll take you back to my classroom a few years back, and I was a math teacher, so this is what I would do to my children. I would say, okay, so I am looking for 2 students who can do problem 16, but here's what I need for problem 16. I need for you to write the problem out. I need for you to show me your work, show me all of the steps of your work. I need for you to show me, to be able to communicate to me in the class that you have a full understanding of how to do this problem. And then when you're done with that, if everything is right, I have this pink Starburst for you, or I have this red Skittle for you. You will be amazed at what a student does for a pink Starburst or a red Skittle. I didn't have to promise them a whole bunch of crazy stuff. All I had to do was put value on the incentive. And I didn't put value on the incentive itself. The value wasn't on the pink Starburst. The value was on what I needed them to complete in order to get the pink Starburst. And I will tell you that the amount of great work that I would get back from my students, because they knew what was waiting for them and they knew what they had to do in order to get the incentive, was amazing to me. Because it was like, okay, you know what? This is some of the best work that I've ever gotten from them when I put that incentive on them. So, here's what I want you to understand. This is only going to work if you really understand the dynamic of putting value on something. It's only going to work if you really understand putting the value on something. So you don't have to go broke. You don't have to say, oh, I'm going to take you out to the movies and you can do that. I'm not saying that you can't do that. But I'm also saying don't make that the incentive every single time you're going to go broke doing that. Make your incentive small, but it's about the value that you place on the incentives, not necessarily the incentive itself. You will be surprised at what your child will work hard for if you start putting value on the incentive and not putting value dollars on the incentive, okay? So again, as a quick recap, you want to incentivize your kids, but you want to lead with the value, lead with what you want them to do, and be very specific in what you want them to do, and then reward them with a certain incentive. This is something that's going to always make sure, I can't say this enough, always make sure that your conversation leads with what you want them to do and how you want them to do it, and then give them anticipation on what they're going to reap on the back end. Don't put the value on the incentive in terms of what they're going to get. Put the value on what you want them to do. And when they do that, they'll get this. Is this something that you always want to do? Probably not, because you want to get to a place where your kids do stuff just because they want to. But this is something that will lead up to them getting to that place of maturity and lead up to them getting to a place of just wanting to do something because they know that it's the right thing to do. Again, I have done a complete blog post on this on my website, www.e-es.co. Look under the blog tab, scroll down, and you will see a wonderful blog post about rock star parenting. When you go to that, go ahead and read the rest of this. But I just wanted to give you that little tag out there, that little tip. Incentivizing, one of the best things you can ever do if you really know how to do it and make it work for you. You can get your child to do anything. I promise you, it has been a great day. I appreciate your time. And again, this is Dr. Makiba, and I'm out.